I think there's a misconception of how wooden surfboards should be riding. I designed them to be more like high performance. I'm talking about like mid-length boards and like longboards.
Marcelina, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
It is a pleasure to have you here. We get to talk about surfboards today and a lot of stuff you've been up to, and I'm really excited about it. On the podcast sometimes, actually most of the time, it's gotten very serious, as you teased me about not too long ago. So here you are to lighten up the mood and talk about something fun, and I'm excited about that. So thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Let's try. Let's try to lighten up this mood.
Thank you. You're also the first recording in the new studio.
I love it.
First things first, introduce yourself.
Marcelina. I'm, not in my 20s anymore. I'm 32. I feel like I'm in my 20s sometimes. So I am behind Piña Surfboards. So I changed my name basically to Marcelina Piña like a decade ago because I thought it just sounded really cool. There's like a story behind it, but it's too long and not
What's the
that
short
exciting.
version? Because it's very nosara-like to come here and rename yourself. I'm just not used to it.
Very true.
I'm not used to it being pineapple. So I'm excited to hear this. Go ahead. Tell us.
Okay, well, actually, when I first moved here in 2008, I lived in town and I was like hanging out with all these little kids because they're like the neighborhood kids, and they would be like, Marce Piña pan y vina, because it comes from this like old thing. They said Marcelina pan y vina, and then it turned into Marce Piña. So I was like, this is so funny because the original one I think goes like Marcelino pan y vino, and I believe it's like some kind of fairy tale.
Sounds like Marcelina
story.
likes bread and wine.
Yeah, I mean, it's usually, I guess, a male person, Marcelino, but they changed it up for me, and then it just became this, like, other thing.
And now it's a surfboard brand name.
Yeah, so thanks for those
shout out to those kids.
But, and then I just really loved it, and I changed my name to Marcelina Piña on, like, Facebook and emails and all of this such a while ago, because I wanted to start, like, a Piña life blog, kind of like how to live in the jungle, this kind of stuff.
When did you want to do that?
Like 10 years ago. That never
I'm going up
happened.
through how long I knew you. I think when I met you at the beginning, we both moved here about the same time. It was tough. It was rough. It wasn't anything like it is today. Same place, but very different. Still the same, but very different, right?
True.
But I could see you doing a how to live blog because you were really, really good at being poor and getting by and still making it.
It's true. I was hustling with Joe then too. And it was tough times, but simple times too, you know? You didn't need much. And, we lived in Palada, and it was like, everything was really simple. We walked to the beach to surf, and it was like, from Palada where we lived, it was probably like a 20-minute walk. And nowadays, even if I would live there right now, I'd like take my motorcycle and at least drive up to the Crazy Hotel. So, times are so different. Like back then, it was like very laid back, very slow. Everything seemed very slow.
Yes, it was. I remember business-wise, if somebody was, at least on the real estate side, if someone was even thinking of buying real estate, everyone in town was like focused on that person. Somebody's interested and all competing about it. It was a big deal.
True. You basically knew about every single house selling and being on the market, and you knew exactly who sold what. It was pretty funny. Now, no way. That would be too crazy.
We used to have a lot of bickerings over things now that don't seem to matter at all. When it was smaller and there wasn't as much entertainment, there wasn't so many distractions, and we didn't have kids or as many kids and all that stuff. True.
I think the biggest thing now too that really changed is the traffic. Because you like walk down the street and there maybe not even a car passing you. And now, like, I imagine myself with the surfboard walking the same route. I get so dusted.
So you remember the dust?
Yeah. The paved road is great. Don't get me wrong. me with my lung problems too. You know, I'm really happy that that finally happened. But yeah, the traffic is insane.
What else has changed about this place?
Difficult questions. I mean, everything. Pretty much everything changed in this place. Some for the better, some not. I guess the reason I'm still here is because the community is great. I have to say, I think it used to be better because back when I moved here, you know, there wasn't so many people. So everybody knew each other and we'd all hang out together and it really didn't matter where you were from. And now that changed a lot. Like now people like kind of stick to their own kinds, you know? So that unfortunately has changed quite a lot, you know? I'm very fortunate that I still have a lot of friends from the good old days and we all hang out together and it's, you know.
It's really cool.
Yeah, and it's like family.
That's interesting that you bring that up because if you have been here a minute, there's a pretty good chance you connected with somebody who feels that means something to you. That's what I've liked about this place. It's like when something goes wrong, you find out who your friends are pretty quickly.
Yeah, and this is basically what I love about this place too. The friends that I made here became family. You know, I have like extended sisters and brothers, you know, that always look out for me. And you make these like really deep connections because you don't have your family around here. Therefore, you know, unless you want to deal with everything on your own, you know, you kind of have to open up and let people into your life. And I have to say, I think it's very easy to do with, let's say, a lot of Americans. They're very open about everything. We talked about this the other day in the water. You know, like next thing you know, they ask you for your mother's name and the pet's name of your grandma and like all these like weird stuff. And, you know, sometimes it's funny and you definitely get to know people very well.
Sometimes running sound right now, listening to this through the headphones, laughing because he's from the Netherlands. And I always tease him about being a robot. And I'm from the South where everyone's like, hey. So I'm just laughing at what you're saying because it's so true.
Yeah, it's not, I'm European, so I was always a bit conservative, but, you know, in the end, it just really matters who you talk to. And then, you know, like, you always have the choice of telling them the truth or not.
Oh, hey, while we're recording this, share your technique for when people ask you what you do.
Oh. Well, when people ask me what I do, I generally say that I'm a woodworker and I'm a carpenter and I build surfboards. But sometimes I do say that I'm a yoga teacher or a life coach. I think life coach is even funnier, but because then there's like not really any follow-up questions. I'm unsure of myself of what that really is, a life coach. But a yoga teacher, you know, then it's like, oh, where do you teach? The best answer is, oh, I just do privates. And then they leave you alone too. And then that's it.
I'm a silent yoga teacher who just does privates.
Like when you're in this town, everybody's a yoga teacher, so you're not that special. I mean, no. No! Cut! I love my yoga teacher friends. All of them, you know?
I mean, to post a 10-second soundbite of that.
No, they're great. And it's like, I mean, how can I undo this?
You don't have to. It was great. Let's jump into you though, because when I met you, you're always nice and smart and all that stuff, but you were serious. This is my memory. You were much more serious. Yeah, and then it was like, oh, she's German. I was like, okay, this is starting to make sense. But it seems like, I don't know what year, I can't remember, but in the past couple of years after you got into surfboard building, there's a lot more smile and talkability and also becoming a mom and the combination of starting your own company. And I think you had to fight for it. Everybody who starts a business here, at some point in time, you're going to have to knuckle down and really dig in and bleed to get it, or it's just not going to work. And that's how it normally goes. You chose to knuckle in and like get after it. But then you got happier.
Yes, I'm German. Even crazier. I was born in Poland. I think Polish people are a bit harder even on the edge than Germans. But I don't know. You know, when I first moved here, I was 19. All I did was surf. And I wanted to do whatever I could just to surf. So back in the good old days, I woke up and sometimes I slept with my bathing suit just so I could literally just walk up and go out surfing. And then sunset again, you know, and it was so nice. It was always the same crew out, and, you know, we had like the N Guiones crew going on. And you did whatever in between to make that happen. So I was working in a lot of different restaurants back then, you know. And yeah, I don't think I was so serious. But maybe I came across like this. No, I mean, and then, you know, as the years goes by, you just, at least for me, you know, I didn't want to be just a waitress, or, not that I think that anything was wrong with that. But I met Joe, and he's a great chef, and we opened up, you know, catering, and then that was a hustle because how many people lived back then here, you know?
You guys were hustling, but shout out to the past. You guys did those donuts. That caught everybody off guard.
That's true.
First time we had donuts in a long time, except for that German bakery that every now and then would come through. You guys did that, and you also had those sandwiches. Remember that? You did that for a while?
Yeah. Pulled pork sandwiches, and you always had like the chicken. Yeah.
That was, shout out to you guys. Man, that was a long time ago.
That was, thanks.
I'm getting old, jeez.
Yeah, but we did whatever we can to make this work here, you know. I loved this so much here. Frankly, in the first year that I moved here, I made so many great friends that I was like, wow, like I really want to stay here. And even it's been so long, all these people back then, I'm still really good friends with. Some of them may not live here anymore, but I'm still in touch with them, you know.
So that keeps this place real for you, as real as in a human level.
Exactly. And of course, like, where are the places where you can surf pretty much every single day without a wetsuit, you know? I did that in like Portugal and Morocco, and, you know, like I surfed all over France and Spain, and it's like the wetsuits are really kind of like scaring this whole situation off, you know? So I wanted to say about the special thing in this place too. You know, I found myself in a community where, how do I say it right?
You've been saying a lot of stuff wrong about yoga people and waitresses. What else? Who else have you tore into today?
No, I feel like I came to a place where women are being kind of like worshipped by other women. Well, we had a lot of and maybe it sounds strange, but there's a lot of goddesses circles going on, and we had these like goddess evenings and meetings, and most of them, they were all yogis and healers and all the
goddesses.
Yeah. All the stuff that goddesses do. And then there was me, I was a bit like a tomboy when I grew up. Like the skated chick, I had like dorky classes, and, I just wasn't this like divine
How many German
female.
and Polish goddesses are there back?
I don't know. So, being included in these circles, first I was like, what is this? Like they're pulling cards and like reading the card to you, and, I don't know. It was really strange to me at first. But then what I really got out of this was that the females here, they're really supportive of one another. There is time for these circles being made intentionally, because I feel like, especially when you're like in a relationship, you live your life with your partner, most likely. And, of course you see like friends here and there, but like these circles were something kind of really empowering, I was like, okay, obviously they saw that I'm not a goddess at first, But,
Hey, have you changed your name to Piña? Does that mean goddess level?
maybe I should write it in a different way with like H and like whatever, But
We'll get back to that later. Keep going with your women empowerment circle goddess stuff.
yeah, so I know it sounds strange for most people, but it was really the first time that people were like telling me that, oh, you're so beautiful and, you this like divine human being and, you have like the higher purpose and you're on your great path and you should follow your intuition and like all of this stuff. And I was like, whoa, like whatever, I'll dig it, like, okay, I'm in, I like to hear all this like cool stuff. So that I feel like was really important for me at that point because I was just, out of school and all of a sudden surfing was like everything to me. But then I was like, you know what? This community is great, but this like female community here is even better, Not to say that I don't like my male friends. They're like my brothers,
Can they be goddesses too? Or what's their name?
Yeah, I don't think they want to.
Yeah, probably so. And well, I want you to find a male goddess, whatever the term is, who also renamed their name for fruit.
Lotus. Remember?
There we go.
Yeah.
Just like that.
There is some here too.
Now, if he's German and
He's
Polish.
No, he's German and...
I mean, all right, this happens all the time. What am I even talking about?
Yeah, no,
And he's for sure at a circle or something and all that stuff. He's really into it.
Yeah.
He's a stud.
Right.
Wait, no, he's a goddess. Is that? I need to get off this. We're walking into male-female
I'm not really...
PR stuff.
It's Mercury in retrograde right now, so it's okay.
I never expected you to say that to me out loud.
To this day, I don't even know what it means, but it's kind of fun to say. It's like what people...
I did expect you to say that.
What people say in this town, if shit hits the fan, it's like, oh, it's Mercury in retrograde. So, and then people are like, oh, okay. It's like totally an explanation that people are very satisfied with. So... You can say that and you're off the hook. Okay. You know it. You've heard it before.
Yeah. I just didn't expect you to say it because for a second I was like, wait, what? She's saying that?
No.
And then when you came back with the statement that you did, it came full circle. So you got me with the good left, right. That was funny.
I do pull cards with my friends and I read it. And I'm actually kind of blown of what all this stuff means.
Really?
Yeah, it's like really kind of interesting. I don't really always understand it, but in that moment, there's always like one or two things that you're like, oh my God, that's so true. It's like horoscopes, You like read them and you're like, wow, this is like, it fits the head on the nail.
How are your German ancestors feeling about you saying this right now?
Well, I don't know. My German friends think that I'm crazy anyway, so good. It's okay.
Then you live in the right spot. So let's fast forward to today a bit. You've advanced your surfing a great deal, and now you're building surfboards.
Okay, so I started to build my first surfboard. I think it was in 2014. It's kind of like when me and Joe gave up the restaurant Campesino here. I was so done with the whole restaurant business, and I was like, I don't even know why I'm doing this. I hate this. And I was like trying to figure out what I wanted to do, Because in the restaurant business, like obviously I was a server too, and I was like working the front of the house. And you kind of like, the customer's king, It's not always true. And like sometimes you just want to kick them out. Of course, it's a small town. You can't really do that, So I was really looking for something to do where I didn't have to kiss ass.
I was going to say, it sounds like a culmination of violent thoughts we're building from the restaurant business. And then you didn't feel like kissing any butt any longer. So transition time.
And then there's two magical things that happened. Very nosara-like. I did a 5 rhythm retreat, which is, you know what 5 rhythm is. Living in this town, of course you do. With Amber Ryan and Kate Sheila. And it was like amazing, you know? Coming from that restaurant, just being done with it, not knowing where I was going to go next, I was dancing my soul out. And that really helped to see things clearer for me, because I understood, like, okay, now is the time that I need to do something for myself, and what I really wanted to do. And then another very nosara thing that I did was I did an iboga ceremony.
Tell me about that.
It was at the Costa Rica Yoga Spa with Jaren, and I think it was like 6 or 7 other people around. It was amazing. It was really like almost like a life-changing experience, because you have, and of course it's like different for everyone. But what happened in my head was that, like, basically my subconsciousness had like a conversation with my consciousness. And
did you witness it, or were you speaking on both sides?
I think I was just witnessing it. You could steer the conversations into matters that you wanted it to be. But yeah, it was really crazy. It lasted for like 8 hours, you know? It's like a very long trip. It's really trippy too, but it was never like, you know, I don't know anything about LSD, but it wasn't like, you know, you're tripping your balls off. It's like you seeing weird stuff, and you could still steer away from that and focus on what's happening in your brain. And with that, I came out too, again, I was, you know, I saw myself with a child, and I saw myself as like an independent worker.
I'm trying to say, it's interesting that you had that experience here when you were broke, pre-kids, all this stuff, go back to Germany, and then find a way back here doing something completely different.
It was always my intention. It was like my intention to go to Germany, take a break, but I always knew I always wanted to come back here.
Did you know what you wanted to do?
Well, at that moment, not quite. But then once I found out about this whole, like, I didn't know about that you can build surfboards out of wood, you know. I had a friend who had a wooden surfboard in Santa Teresa, and he showed it to me, and I didn't give it a second thought back then, you know. And then once I was getting into this whole YouTube stuff.
Shout out to YouTube and Facebook, by the way, for your surfboard career.
Now I hate them. They follow me with the weirdest shit. But
well, after people watch this, it'll go full circle. It'll help them too.
No, but I really got into woodworking, and I remember my mom always kind of nurtured that side in us, me and my brothers, because she basically set up like a little shop downstairs in the basement where we could like saw little things, and we made clocks, and I was always kind of crafty myself, so I always loved working with wood, and I always loved like sawing and sanding. I hate sanding now, but love all the other stuff. So, and like it goes back to like some of my first memories when we were building like benches with my grandpa, you know, in Poland on like the farm.
Like those emotions and that muscle memory and all that stuff was deep in you.
Exactly.
And it came back out. Is this around 2015 in the story? 2016-ish?
2014, yeah.
Okay.
2013, 14. That was like, yeah, the transitional time. But yeah, so I went to woodworking school in Germany, in Munich. And intentionally in Munich because that's where like the best woodworkers are. They've still build like a lot of traditional stuff, and going to that school and doing that whole apprenticeship program was, I don't want to say some of the best things I've ever done in my life. There was like some really bad sides to it. Has a lot to do with men and their fragile masculinity.
Also being in Germany and you're building surfboards.
That's true. I was in my basement.
Your combination is interesting.
Yeah. I was in my basement building surfboards basically as soon as I started school. And we would go on surf trips to like France and Spain and everywhere. So, you know, I put them to good use already, you know. But yeah, it was really crazy to do that in Germany because sometimes I felt comfortable telling people what I was going to do, what the bigger picture was. And the bigger picture was coming back here and building surfboards. But that wasn't always the case because a lot of people, they're not the nosara goddesses there. They're like, what if you fail? What if that doesn't work? What are you thinking? All of these things. So it was like really tough sometimes to talk to people about it. Cause they would just kind of wear me down, I was like, no, that's going to be my story.
Isn't it weird that I guess in your life, in many cases, you've had a different direction. Maybe you didn't know exactly what it was going to be, but you knew it was heading that way. And then you stuck by it and it's worked out. It sounds like you have family connections here. You have lifelong friends now, raising a child here, and you have your own business. It's interesting. All the people who thought you were crazy, well, maybe they still think you're crazy, but your version of crazy seems to be flowing.
Well, show me one normal person on this planet. Exactly.
I was going to say 3 or 4 different jokes there between politics, religion, and all that type of stuff, but I'm not going to. We've already done enough goddess talk and tarot cards and you going from German intense to ibogaing. Well, what a fun podcast. Okay, so bring us to your board styles. What types? Talk to us about your surfing, your styles. Like you doing longboard, shortboards, mid-lengths. Who you catering to? Like, what should people know when they hear about Piña? Is it Piña Surfboards?
Piña Surfboards.
Piña Surfboards.
So I think back in the day when I started surfing, I was really obsessed with shortboarding. That was like the thing to do back then, right? Everybody was shortboarding or longboarding, but longboarding was
you weren't
reserved
cool if you
for...
longboard.
It's true, but...
Are people thought longboarders just for beginning? Like, they still think that a lot of the time, actually.
They do think that. But then there was like so very few longboarders in the lineup. Rob, you, D. There wasn't so many great longboarders out there. You were very few back then. And, it was like a thing for older people. Now that whole thing shifted. And as soon as I started building the surfboards too, I ditched all the surfboards that were shortboards, basically. And I'm more intrigued by all the fun shapes. I love fish shapes and fun boards, minimal. It's like, I actually have to say that the very first board I built in my basement was a longboard. I totally went in over my head. I should have started smaller, But I always wanted a longboard, but they were so damn expensive. So I was like, okay, I'll just make my own, So I built a longboard and I still have it. Now I look back onto it and I was like, what was I thinking?
I tried my first wooden board around 2009-10 when the Grain folks came through. Shout out to Grain, really nice people. Brad, yeah, I didn't see him in a while. Anyway, he had a shortboard version though, and it was a copy of an Almeric. I think it was a Biscuit or a Fishkit or whatever one of those was. I was so excited because he was saying it's so strong. And it felt strong, but then when I took it out there, I went to turn it, it shot me off. It didn't move. I just went and I couldn't turn it. I just never could. And then they made a Pipo and I loved that one. That had a spot for me because it was short and I could get on my knees and make all kinds of sections. And I wasn't turning anyway, so it didn't matter. But anyway, my experience with the boards was the hollow wooden boards was very, very challenging. And then the longboards kind of had a place because they were heavy, loggish anyway. Wasn't trying to turn so much, but I love the idea of the wooden boards, but I wasn't very good at it, or they weren't very good. I can't tell. But then after you and I recently connected, I can't remember if it was pre-COVID or post-COVID, you gave me one of your more recent shapes, and I got on it and turned it really hard. Right away. I was shocked. It actually slid out a bit. So what happened in those couple of years? I guess is my first question. And then my second is, can you talk us through your board lineup? What are you shaping and what are you into these days?
Okay, so I love green surfboards too. They're one of my Instagram mentors. And I do understand what you're saying because the first board that I ever built in a workshop, it was beautiful, but it didn't turn. It was like a 6'8", with a bat tail and like a quad setup. And it was just really difficult to ride and turn and like, you know, I'm not that great of a surfer anyways. You know, I don't know if you can do aerials with my wooden surfboards because I can't. But maybe somebody who actually is able to do aerials could do that with my board. That'd be great.
Well, but your boards seem to perform, and I don't know if it's just because because your training you got that good, or if the technology is evolving and you're pacing with it. I don't know. I'm trying to ask why did that board I ride of yours feel so different from my first attempt at a wooden board?
I think there's a misconception of how wooden surfboards should be riding. And it's kind of like exactly what you said. People expect that, you know? A lot of wooden hollow surfboards are made that are really bulky and thick and like really wide, you know? They're trying to like cram up as much volume as you can into them to make up for that extra weight. So when I started building my surfboards, I was trying to save that in different ways. So I was trying to save the weight, but making them more high performance. So I designed them to be, you know, pretty much like more like high performance. And I'm not talking about short boards. I'm talking about like mid-length boards and like long boards. So they basically have like the same widths, and they have like, you know, the same tails and the same setups. Like I'm not trying to give them these thick rails that a lot of wooden surfboards have, because in my opinion, you don't really need all of that extra volume to be floating out there.
Yeah,
you know?
Can I ask you a question about that? It seems to me that the push was, let's go shorter and smaller, because a lot of people who are learning how to surf think that you're cool if you ride shortboards. They don't think, what is the wave doing? What's the appropriate equipment? They're racing to do what they think is cool, which works out for me because I'll ride any size board, big small, I don't care. I just want to ride whatever the wave will dictate.
Exactly. So pretty much all of the boards that I build, I always have Guiones in mind, or Asti, you know? So, because like those are the waves that I ride the most. And
they also have a sleeker edge to them than a lot of the other wooden boards I've seen.
Thank you. You know, I actually had a friend of mine come into the shop, and he said that my boards look really feminine. Not in a way like, you know, pink or whatever, but like that, like they're maybe a bit sleeker. They're not so bulky, you know. I tried to incorporate a lot of design into the boards. Of course, they have to function, you know. It's
Yeah, I was gonna say, it seems like it's functionality, because when people rush to get to that short board, they're basically doing themselves a disservice. You seem to have, I don't know the right terminology, I'm not a shaper, but your lines, your edges, your rails don't have the chunk so that you can go short. They're actually a little bit longer, sleeker, and I think that's why they're turning and they're performing. And I had that first wave, I had a really solid nose ride on your longboard. I couldn't believe it. I was like,
it's great.
I never expected to get there. I just remember the big clunker ones I had tried. So I'm really happy to have you in and discuss this, because it's new, it's interesting, and you're designing it around Guiones, and you also happen to be a friend. So like everything about this is pretty cool. So if people want to try your boards or find you, like how do they do that?
So Piña Surfboards is basically located right here in Esperanza, and I built the surfboards right there in the shop. I also offer the workshops. So people come for 3.5 days and build a wooden hollow surfboard with me. In advance, of course, we discuss design and, you know, what kind of board they want. I have like a certain amount of boards. I think it's like 11 or 12 shapes right now that I have dialed in that they can choose from, but I can also customize whatever they would like.
Wow. So you're in double digits on shapes, and you can customize, and they come to build it with you.
Yeah.
And that's 3.5 days?
3.5 days.
How did they learn more about this? Let's go ahead and get that out there right away.
Okay, so the 3.5 days are... The half day is a joke. It's really just a couple of hours. Not hard at all. The other 3 days, you know, they're like really from 8 to 5, because there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and it has to be done like that day. So usually we're done by 5. You know, On the last day, it could be a bit extra, but
Depends on their days, right?
But it also depends on who's making them. Like,
I got you.
And I'm not talking about how experienced that person is. These courses I'm offering, I really want people to know that this is for everyone. This is not for the do-it-yourself or like the carpenter that already has experience. This is literally for everyone. Like I had women in there that exceeded my I got a brief heart.
Expectations.
Oh yeah, exactly. So I had women in there that exceeded my expectations, and they were faster than any other male, if I may say so. And they didn't bitch at all about how long or hard it was. Just,
So you don't have to be an engineer to go do this. You could just be somebody interested.
Exactly.
Horsing around.
So, if you have two left hands, then it's okay too. Like I'm there to help, and I'm helping through this whole process. And the workshop is limited to 3 people, so I can really oversee every single person.
How often do you do them?
Starting now in December, every 3 weeks.
Should people follow your website to track with it or to?
So on my website, you have all the dates of the available workshops, and you can sign up right then and there and choose the shape and the design you want. If you want it customized, I do need a little bit longer in advance, but to prepare everything. But usually if it's like 3 weeks in advance, it's perfectly fine, unless I don't have any spots open.
Gotcha. And what if somebody just wants your board, they don't want to do the whole workshop? Do you retail sell them?
I do customize boards as well, and I'm happy to make any kind of board for anyone. Tell
me your 3 favorite shapes right now.
I got a fish, which I call the mango fish. That one is super fun. It's kind of a bit of the lean on the go fish from Rock Machado. Then I have my all-time favorite, my 6'6" papaya. It seems like my perfect all-rounder, especially for Guiones. Got a lot of volume, so it like glides right into the waves. But it's short enough, so it like turns really smoothly, and I got some great waves on that. And then I love my La Piña 9-2 longboard.
Is that the one I wrote?
Yeah. That one is a lot of fun. It turns really well. Single fin,
I wasn't expecting it to turn. I heard even the wood move. I was shocked.
No, I mean, these boards are really solid. So the reason, I wanted to make them so much too is like I really, when I was thinking about getting into the whole shaping, I was so turned off by the whole foam industry. And, one of my first surfboards was actually made on the clog foam. It was like a scorcher, something like that. It was a really funny board. But, clog foam got out of business. There's a lot of other foam alternatives now, too, with the recycled EPS. The industry is moving maybe in the right direction. But it's still material in surfboards that are made to break. With the wooden surfboard, you have a much more, or like a much more environmental, friendly option. And
plus durability.
Exactly. So they last way longer. They look really pretty, so you can put them up on the wall and then surf them. It's like.
Let's talk about the wall before we go any further, because when Brad from Green told me people come to the workshops to build their board, to hang them on the wall, and they're like, oh, no, this is a wall hanger. I'm never riding this. And he said that breaks their heart.
It's true. I first thought the same way. I was like, no, you have to ride it, And I always love people out there whenever they ride my boards. I think it's like the best feeling ever, And I used to get really butthurt too when they were like, oh no, I maybe ride it once and then I hang it up on the wall. And I was like, God damn it, these surfboards are made to surf, So I let go of that because also it's not about my ego anymore, I understand it now. So people come into the workshop and sometimes they never even held a saw in their hands. Literally, they don't even know what a hand planer is, And I'm guiding them through this whole experience to build their own wooden hollow surfboard. And they just I mean, they love it. It's like a connection to organic materials. And, you know, first you have these like pieces of wood and you don't know how this is going to end up being a surfboard. And then it, you know, once we have like the blank ready, it's like really bulky and kind of big looking. But once we start like shaving all the rails and like shaping them, that's when people are just like, you know, they're so intrigued by the process.
Right.
It's so satisfying to watch that whole process. And it's even more satisfying to watch this whole process when somebody else is going through this and they're just so like amazed and happy and proud of what they've done. So these workshops are really fun and really for anyone. Like
even
women,
if they're not surfing, it sounds like from what you're describing, if I'm hearing it right, people can get so much happiness just off having it there and knowing they did it and they touched it. And that now is getting to you. It's not you just have to go ride this and do this maneuver. It's now just whatever it means to you, it is.
Exactly.
So you're at peace with that.
I'm at peace with that too. Yeah.
That's nice. Well, early into your surfboard shaping career, you found a lot of peace and happiness through this. Yeah. Any big regrets on what you're doing or any big surprises coming up? Like anything we should worry about for you or anything we should be excited for? Either one?
You know, I mean, eventually I would love to have my own wood shop set up exactly for my purpose. And, you know, in this like my next 5-year timeline, maybe that's going to happen and I'll be doing like whatever it takes to get there. But yeah, so that would be really exciting.
I want you to get a part-time bay up in this one area in Nicaragua. It's like my getaway. It's like my nosara. Like people come to nosara to get away here. There's one spot up there and it's a pretty heavy wave and it barrels really well. And there's A-frames, but if you could bring a strong wood board that could float someone enormous like me and you're invited.
All right, I'm in.
Well, man, the boards break all the time. So that's the thing about that. Like you might bring 2 boards on that trip and they both easily might be gone. But if you, for big reward, for big pleasure, there's a big price to pay and your boards are durable. So I think just keep that in mind. Go to heavy waves. If you can make them work, go to heavy waves.
Well,
no, of course you're doing the exact opposite. You're at the softest wave of the world.
Like, I have to admit, I love the Guiones wave. I love Asti very much too. I feel like it's just like Guiones, but with a little bit of more punch. So,
it's like an angry
exciting.
Guiones, right? Yeah. A little spice to it.
I don't need to surf like Salsa Brava and like, you know, those. I'm not that great of a surfer.
But what if your boards go?
I mean, that would be great. If somebody else surfs them, I'll be super proud, you know? Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Keep going. Like keep progressing. And I'm telling you, I know a spot where you can go because someone's going to get out of the water with a broken board.
I know.
And they're going to want one.
Well, maybe we make it out of Guanacaste, so.
Yeah. Hey, talk through the wood. Do any environmentalists come to you and say you're messing stuff up, or do people research it enough to understand that you're actually doing positive things for the environment?
I'm not messing anything up. I don't think so. You know, I'm using the local wood around here. Basically, like the balsa trees that I'm using are trees that fell down somewhere or that people cut down because they're like in their way. Balsa grows really fast. So like a 15-year-old balsa tree looks like a 50-year-old Melina tree. You know, they're the same height and like thickness. So when I get the balsa, it's usually wood that would have been otherwise discarded. Because usually they just chop it off and they throw it in the jungle and the jungle takes care of it really quickly. Bugs love it. Termites love it. It decomposes really fast. No, I'm actually not cutting down trees. I'm literally taking the trees that people cut down, or people are like, listen, there's a balsa tree that fell down. You know, I got my connections where people call me up. They're like, look, there's this 40-foot balsa tree. Do you want it? And then, you know, I go there and I check it out. And if I see big termite nests on there, or, you know, if it's like, if it has a root rot or anything, like, I don't even bother. I just let it rot too. But a lot of times when the trees are fine, you know, like, yeah, I get my guys up there and they haul it down and to the wood mills and they make blanks for me. And then I just have to store them in a proper way so the termites won't get into it. And then I go from there. So there's really no harm.
You're not murdering trees and ruining nosara.
No, I'm doing the opposite. I'm saving the trees and giving them life.
That was the soundbite that we were going for, so that works out. All right, moving on. A couple other questions. Curveballs. Tell me your 3 favorite restaurants here and what you like to get there, in no particular order.
Okay, I'm going to say La Luna.
Okay, what you like to get there?
Probably 90% of other people.
It comes up a lot.
I like the bacon shachuka, so I usually go there for breakfast. It's the best time.
That's the secret. That's the secret.
Apparently, because at sunset you can't get a table unless you make a reservation. And I don't know how to make reservations. No, I do, but I'm not.
I got you. La Luna breakfast is a. Amy did a lot of our kids homeschooling there. 2 days a week, she always went to La Luna. No one was there. You have the tide pools, and it was just a roll.
I know. It's my favorite spot. Sunset's right there. It's like a beautiful beach. I mean, blowholes, Then there comes Claudio and pulls bubbles. You'll feel like in a fairy tale land.
It's a unique spot. All right, so what else?
Well, I really love pizza at Pura Pizza. I actually wish that they would have pineapple ham pizza.
I was just about, so what's your take on the pineapple thing?
I'm so afraid to ask.
I did, and they lit me up.
I
had it coming. I didn't know that was a bad thing. I was like, hey, can I get some pineapple in this one?
Yeah, I think Italians have this weird thing about it. And I love pineapple and ham pizza.
So, hey, you're raging against Pura Pizza and their lack of pineapple and your name being Piña. I could see how you could be offended. But you still like them and they made your list. But I love
pizza. I probably have it once a week.
All right, so Pura Pizza. Shout out to Pura Pizza. Slap some pineapple in there for Mrs. Piña. What's next? But you should get your own pizza. They need to name it. It's your pizza. You could call it the Marcelina. I bet it would sell.
I mean, who doesn't like pineapple on pizza?
Them.
I know. It's just the weirdest thing. So whenever I make pizza at my house, it's always pineapple and ham pizza.
Drive by Pura Pizza and be like, I got one.
I know.
All right, enough teasing about Pura Pizza, but I love Pura Pizza. We all do. Next, what's up?
Let me think. I don't want to sound snobby, but I love the juice bar at the Harmony. The juices and smoothies definitely got smaller over the years, but the smoothies are the best. But it's hard. There's a lot of good places around. The falafel box is great, I love their stuff. And then Go Juice has the best bowls.
Hey, it's cool to hear someone who's been in restaurant so much, and at your house, you guys can make incredibly quality things over the years because you guys are ballers when it comes to making food and stuff.
Thanks.
But it's what I'm trying to say and doing a bad job of saying it is it's nice to hear someone with restaurant skills enjoying other restaurants.
There's great restaurants here, and La Brasa too. So what I wanted to say is, back in the day, there was how many restaurants? 10. And now there's now maybe it's a bit too much, but on the other side, there's so many great restaurants, and there's so many more creative people that came through here. And oh wow, they're missing this and they're missing that. So La Brasa is a great example. You have really dedicated Argentinians that are making really good food. And then, the old time restaurants that used to have chicken parm and beef stroganoff and all this stuff, kind of fading out. Which I think... There's a
lot of new talent coming in transitions. The funny thing is, that's not funny at all. Actually, the unfunny thing is, let me restate that. The very unfunny thing is so many people come in to launch a restaurant and it's so hard to make a living.
So hard. I had my fair share of that. I mean...
Jeez, you walked into that hurricane.
I loved the restaurant we had. I think it was great. But it was so much work.
A lot of your friends like us really liked it too. But we also didn't like seeing you having to walk around oh.
I know. It's so much hard work, It's the hardest business, I think. Because it's not only that you have 14-hour days. You have to smile the whole time and be nice. It's really hard to do.
I was gonna go for another German or Polish burn, but I'm done with those for the day. You've covered enough ground with your goddess stories to iboga from, and then woodworking in Germany, shaping surfboards. You got a mixture of interesting things going on with your life. So, what's the next 5-10 years hold for you? Did your iboga vision tell you that, or did it just get you to here?
Well, it kind of got me where I was asking it for, you know? So with iboga, you literally ask questions and it gives you the answers. That was my trip, you know? Everybody's trip is different, but no, I definitely got where I wanted to be. I'm very happy at this place right now. My business is growing very organically, and as of right now, I'm just happy to make surfboards and some furniture on the side, but not really. I actually don't make furniture at all.
I did a horrible job asking you questions today because I did not talk about furniture at all.
No. No.
I was just happy to talk about surfboards with you, and I can't believe that they actually go well because the one I did ride in the past was a slug, and yours truly went.
Really
so
funny that you said this. I can't actually believe that they go well. You know, I think this is something that a lot of people think about my surfboards. They think they don't ride well until they ride one, and then they kind of like it. But then, of course, there's like another side. And let's talk about this because this is very important in this age. I'm a female carpenter. That makes.
I was about to say, I bet it's a trans thing or a gender thing coming.
This is it. So I'm making, and I'm coming back to the story of like my goddess tribe here. Where in the world could I do such thing without the support of this whole female community? You know, like I feel more empowered here as a woman than anywhere else in the world. So yeah, this is the place to be like a woman entrepreneur.
As a tall white European woman,
right? No, but like I see that in my workshops. The women, they love it. They listen to me when I like guide them through the process. The men, they have doubts, you know, and I understand.
Can you feel it right away?
Sometimes.
Or is it possible you're just expecting that and it's not really there? Or is it definitely there and you know it?
No, it's definitely there and I know it. Not with everyone, I'm not saying. But there's definitely some people where you can hear, you know, the doubts. Sometimes I just want to let my ego go and be like, okay, whatever. If you know how to do it, then just fucking do it, you know?
That was what I was thinking. I just didn't want to say that out loud.
But then on the other side, you know, I have to think like, oh shit, you know, it's like, my name on that board, basically, like, I want it to be nice. Like, I don't want anybody to, like, it's in everybody's interest that you walk out of there with, like, the most beautiful surfboard ever. So,
you have a foot on each side of this equation then.
Yes.
Gotcha. So here's a balance.
It's a fine line. I think the industry is doing a really great job, and a lot of other wooden hollow surfboard makers and wooden surfboard makers are going into the right direction, and they're definitely going to more high performance style surfboards. So I think that would get a lot of other people on board, where, you know, back in the day when wooden hollow surfboards were like, let's say for like the hipsters, you know, for the people that maybe are not such great surfers, you know, but they want to feel special, like me.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's all of us.
So now, you know, because it's progressing so fast, a lot of more people have interest in them. And there's such a wide variety, you know. I mean, look at Firewire surfboards, the TimberTech surfboards, you know, like it's not so far out of reach to have one of those. Like the baked potato is great, you know. I mean, I love those surfboards too. They made with like the Polonia wood and a bit of a different construction, because they do have the foam outside. They're basically just wrapped in wood, which is awesome. You know, Wook Surfboards does that as well in Austria, and they probably make the most beautiful surfboards on
so
this
you
planet.
just follow everyone on Instagram and see what everybody's doing and just digest it.
Yeah.
Who catches your attention more than anyone out there?
I mean, up there with Wooks is definitely Hess Surfboards. Danny Hess, he's from the Bay Area.
Stud.
He is like one of my favorite shapers.
You follow like John Wegener and those guys at all?
Yeah.
I had one of those bluegills.
Oh yeah.
I wrote it here for a long time.
No way.
Yeah, I just can't get one down. I love finless boards. I really love sliding.
Well, I have 2 Elias in my shop right now.
Any for super huge fat white guys?
You're right. They're like 7-footers. We should try them out though.
I'll try.
Maybe you just like use them as pipos.
I will. Let's do that. Maybe at OST we should go there and film.
Yeah.
A little bit more push.
Okay.
That's an idea. All right, so that's for future podcasts. Wrapping up this episode, what else do you want to get out there while you have this platform? What do you want people to know, either about you personally or your business, or just for the planet?
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Okay, so we solved the planet.
Okay, so I want to say, whatever choices you can make, and if you are in, let's say a place where you can make better choices, then you should. Anybody who can afford things that are more sustainable should be getting those.
Do you feel that it's heading that way, or do you think that people are just ignoring it?
I feel like there's almost no middle way anymore. It's like heading into the opposite directions. You go into a store and everything is made in China, and the plastic is like the cheapest thing. Plastic is made to last. So if you make something out of plastic, you better make it to last. And then there's like the super expensive high-end stuff. There's barely anything that is like in between. And I feel like is the problem.
Man, you just opened me up to on a broader level, because if you think politics has went that way, it's become very polarizing. There's very little middle ground. It's just like in the States, it's Democrat or Republican, and wherever you're from, I'm guessing that people fight the same way.
Yeah.
Just in a different language, and it's probably the same theme. And if you think about just nosara and all of our controversies and little things, people get so polarized on one or the other, and life is in the middle.
Very much.
And that's what you're saying for your worldwide stuff. All right, for you personally, what do you want to get out there? Tell us your websites. Tell us your Instagram handles, any of that stuff.
Okay, so anybody who's interested in making a hollow wooden surfboard can just go to my website and look up the surfboard. Oh, piñasurfboards.com. Well, it's actually not with a wave on top. It's just piñasurfboards.com. Or they can look me up on Instagram or my Facebook page, which that one I really don't pay any attention to.
Hey, they got you into board building, so you need to give some shout outs.
I do love my Instagram so much better. Not my personal Instagram, my page, but like just my Instagram feed, and it's so much fun. Like I love Instagram. Yeah, so those would be the ways to connect with me. Or in the water, Screw that. Don't ask me anything in the water. I just want to surf. I got very few surf sessions these days, Got to make the most out of it.
Well, you got to go make money and take care of your family and do what you do. And I'm so happy for your success.
Thank you.
And as much as we all like your restaurants and foods and all the different creations and all the things that you've made over the years, those were nice, but surfboards are way cooler.
Thanks. I think so too.
I hope you have fun with it.
Thanks.
All right, we're going to have you back, get an update, get some of those models cranked out, and make some for big guys. And
okay.
We'll start riding too.
Sounds great.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Richard.